What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Star Wars video. Today I'm going to be talking about Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. This movie came out in 2002, and once again, that makes me feel really fucking old. Now, unlike The Phantom Menace, this is a film I remember seeing in a movie theater. I was 8 years old when this film came out, and I believe this was one of the first Hollywood movies I ever saw in a movie theater as well, and I remember it being an absolute blast. Sure, I didn't understand the political aspect of it at all, and really, even as an adult, I think the politics in the prequels are the least interesting part of these movies. And like most young kids, I couldn't care less about the Anakin-Padme relationship, but seeing all the pew-pews and lightsaber battles on the big screen was an amazing experience. Now, do I still feel the same way about this movie? Do I still have the kind of affection that I had when I was 8 years old? No, of course not. There are so many problems and moments in the movie that you can make fun of until the end of time. That said, I do think this movie is much better than The Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace to me was just a series of events that didn't amount to anything. That film had no clear through line. There were some interesting ideas here and there, but nothing really came together as a whole. But in the case of Attack of the Clones, if you look at each story element of it, there are some really good ideas inside. We have Detective Obi-Wan Kenobi looking for a bounty hunter, and he stumbles upon a planet that manufactures clones. And turns out, a Jedi Master had ordered these clones to be made. Now, that is a great plot for a film noir type of story. Another is a story of star-crossed lovers, Anakin and Padme, who reunite for the first time in 10 years. He is a Jedi, she is a senator, it's a forbidden love. It's a trope that's been successful for decades, even centuries, in literature and in cinema. People love this kind of story, and when it's executed well, this really works. And then there's Anakin longing for his mother and having nightmares of her in pain and being tortured. So he goes back to Tatooine and their reunion ends in tragedy. It is heartbreaking. And this is by far the strongest and most emotional aspect of this movie. You can see a glimpse of his dark side. You can feel his rage and regret. This is the pivotal moment in Anakin's life that ultimately sets him on this very dark path. It's a brilliant setup for what's to come, and you can tell that this is the story that Lucas had wanted to tell for years. All of these ideas, I think, are very compelling. The thing that kills this movie, and people have talked about this for many years, is the dialogue. Now, on the plus side, and I don't know how other people feel about this, but I really like the chase sequence through Coruscant and that scene at the bar where they eventually capture the assassin. I think it's pretty entertaining, although there's this one thing about that chase scene that never made any sense to me, which is when the assassin speeder goes that way and Anakin jumps off from his speeder and falls, and somehow they meet halfway. It's like if a car goes that direction and if somebody jumps from this bridge over here, these two things will never meet. It's just physically impossible. I also think the CG in this movie, for the most part, still looks pretty good. The CG in The Phantom Menace looks super dated and shonky and nothing in it feels real. But in the case of this, I think it works perfectly fine. And upon this rewatch, one of the things I discovered was that Padme is a fucking champ. She puts up with Anakin's whining and rapey gaze and all these really creepy romantic gestures. She gets a big scratch on her back and still manages to kick that creature mid-air. She also jumps from the top of this tower and lands on this beast's back. When I saw that, I was like, oh my god, is she okay? Are her legs okay? Is her crotch okay? What is she made of? On top of all this, she gets thrown out of a plane, falls on her back, rolls down a heap of sand, and remember, that scratch on her back is still there, but she gets up and orders a clone trooper to get some backup and starts sprinting. She's a fucking champ. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Attack of the Clones. I honestly don't think this is a bad movie. I think there was so much potential here, and there are so many interesting ideas and setups there. I just wish the dialogue had been written better. Stay tuned for the next video, which is on Revenge of the Sith. I can't wait to talk about it because I have some fond memories of that film as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.